Hey everybody, welcome back to our Small Biz Artist video. I'm going to talk about branding and kind of rethinking that as a small business and as an artist. First, I did start recording this on my webcam, but excuse me, it was not looking great, so I went back to the phone. Yeah, and I have my new stickers. I think I showed them in the last video I did, the black ones with the white pen, which I really like how they turned out, and I like how they look. So I'm excited to keep using those going forward. But yeah, let's go back to the topic that I want to talk about today and just my thoughts on it, and that is branding. So generally with branding, a lot of artists, myself included, we're thinking or do think that branding is more, it's about the colors and the logo and how things look, and that's your branding, right? And that's not necessarily the case. That's like the surface level of branding. Branding is like what your business, I guess, not stands for, but what it represents. Like, is it a more of a spooky business? Is it more of a cute kawaii business? Is it a business that loves plants, things like that? And like the way I thought about it too, and I was thinking about the topic for the video, was if you go into a room or a house or a store or something, what is the general aesthetic that has? What does it make you feel like? Does it really reflect what you thought it would be, I guess, or what it should be? Like, you're not going to go walk into a Target and it's going to be 90% Halloween everything. That doesn't really make sense. It's not what Target is, right? Or if you go to, it's probably not the best example, but because it's changed over the years, but Hot Topic used to be really, it was more, it tried to be more edgy and dark and goth and industrial and very rough, and nowadays, well, every location's a little bit different, but they're not as edgy and rough anymore. It's more pop culture focused, so it's kind of got like not punk bands anymore, or not just that, there's other stuff. So, your brand is just the overall, for lack of a better word, the overall vibe you get from whatever it is, right? So I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, if people look at my brand, am I consistent in what I want it to represent and what I want it to be and stand for, right? And I did a little bit like of thinking, because I do have business values, like what I think is important, and I have like 5 of them. But I was listening to a video from Layla Hormozi, I believe is her name, and she said she only chooses 3 because nobody's going to remember 5. It's going to be too much to remember. And I was like, that's actually a good point. So I've been kind of thinking about how I should narrow my business values down. And the main focus that I always want to be for my brand is that when people look at my art business and stuff, they know they're going to get fun and entertainment out of it first and foremost. That's what I want to provide. That's what I want to achieve. That's what I want to represent. Most of that's going to be more of a Halloween spooky fun, but that needs to be reflected in everything I do. It's not just, hey, here's like, oh, pumpkins and ghosts and monsters. It can't just be that. It has to be more. And I think once I kind of see the focus of me wanting to do more fun and entertaining things with the brand, I need to make sure that everything I do sticks to those values. So that's kind of why I'm starting to shift towards my branded colors and kind of playing with colors that would represent more fun and entertainment. That if you look at it, it's going to be kind of like Halloweeny in a way, but not scary. I love horror, don't get me wrong. I will definitely have that within my brand, like story-wise, but the stuff that I always gravitate to with that is more fun horror, like some of it is more on the rated R side, like some of the movies like Night is it Night of the Living Dead? No, Return of the Living Dead. That's like one of my favorite zombie movies. It's just really stupid fun, Not a kids movie by any means, but it's stupid fun. And I think looking at what would represent that the most really dictates my brand. And it's also how you show up for your brand. So if my brand is all over the place on what it's doing, which I did have that problem, which is partly why I made this channel, because I realized I went way off the tracks. Like I do tutorials and things like that on my main channel, but I realized, wait, this isn't reflective of my brand. Like obviously one of my business values is like encouraging others to grow and learn and things like that and be independent and stuff like that, which is why I do the tutorials, so people can have a free software to grow and become independent with, even if they don't always use it, it's something to start with. So I've been kind of like trying to take those tutorials and incorporate my own stuff with it, making sure that it's more related to the artwork I do to be a better example of that business value that I have. And I did shift to that. I am struggling with it a little bit for some things, but that's okay. It's not gonna be perfect the whole time. I'm okay with that. I'm still trying to figure that out, like how to bring those of course, recording this at night as always, but sorry, I almost yawned. But making sure that those tutorials are not just tutorials, making sure that I'm doing a tutorial using my work as the example of you can do this too. And it also kind of works in a way of, hey, I'm advertising the products I make, but even if no one buys it because of the video, they can see that I can be productful and have a business with this software, and this is how I'm using it. The only challenge with that is not all the tutorials will be showing tools that I actually use in the business, because some things it's just not something I normally would do. So I do have to kind of keep that in mind and just accept that there may be times where the video will not follow through with the branding aspect. But the fact that I now have an idea and a direction to go in, I can at least bring the brand back into the tutorial, so it's not people think of the brand, this is going to sound weird, but just they think of the brand with the tutorials, not just the tutorials first and then the brand, if that makes sense. I also did get a book, let me get the title. There you go, Building a Story Brand, and it's the second edition, so Building a Story Brand 2.0. And I haven't started reading it yet. It's going to be, I'm going to try and start reading it this week or next week. I'm not entirely sure yet because I still have another book to get through, and yeah, just all this stuff. But I got that, so I was going to get marketing books instead, but I thought, no, I need to make sure before I actually do marketing that my business values are the core of the brand. I have that set out, or at least have it started where it's become more consistent how the brand shows up. And it's really hard to think of it as a brand and not my business, because what I do versus is, I don't want to say it's not reflective of the brand, because what I do lines up the values of my brand, right? Or what the brand stands for, but I can't like switch my brand up and say, I'm going to talk about, oh geez, I don't even know, just talk about some random topic that has nothing to do with the brand or the business for like 10 videos or like 10 marketing emails about, it doesn't make sense, right? And back in it sounds weird saying back in the day because that doesn't really make sense, but a couple years ago, I kind of struggled with that. I started noticing that my email campaigns were not set up in a way that I was happy with. I did not know how to reflect my brand in these things. I didn't know how to even make the brand. I just thought I have a business, right? I'm selling things, this is what I'm doing, but I kind of knew something was off, but I didn't know what. And then ever since making this channel, I've obviously, well, not obviously, but I have fixed it and I have redirected my focus and everything. So now it's more story-based, more fun, and all these crazy things, right? Because again, my brand has always, I've always wanted it to be fun and entertaining. I want to provide fun for people, through my stories and characters. And brainstorming in a live stream, I was like, oh, I can do like a comic in each newsletter that I send out. And then I was listening to some comic artists talk, and then the artist had happened to be a comic strip artist, you know, for newspapers and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can do that. I can do a comic strip in my newsletter. Almost, you know, it's just like in a newspaper, but in the digital format, right? Obviously, it won't be like an actual comic strip size. It'll be close, right? Dimension wise, but it won't be like a full long strip, but it'll be a similar dimension. And I just got really excited about that because not only could I do something different, I could actually have fun with it. And I finished 2 of the sketches, and I did limit myself. I did tell myself, if I'm going to be doing this, I need to set some ground rules because I can't do everything all the time, right? This has to be a monthly thing. I cannot make a finished comic strip because I know I won't have the time. I just am not going to. I already have 2 other comics that will take up my attention on top of other things like this. And so I set the ground rule of it has to be a sketchy. It doesn't have to be finalized artwork and line art and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I set that boundary of this is still going to be fun. It's still going to be like not like viewable and readable and things like that. But it will not, it will, train of thought, oh my gosh. It will provide the fun, it'll provide the entertainment within the newsletter, which is on brand for me, and it will not take up a lot of time. And it will still be like legible, it will still be cleaned up enough you can see what's happening. So I'm not gonna like do full sketch where you don't even see a face. It's just gonna be more sketchy line work. And once I set that boundary up, I'm like, okay, this is doable. And if I do have time 1 month to make it more cleaned up, I'll do that. But, you know, I may not, and that's okay. So by allowing myself to not finish something fully and then still provide branded content like that, I was just very, I don't know. I thought that was just a fantastic thing. I am so excited for the end of this month when the first comic strip basically is going to be released. And it really changed how I do my newsletters. I still need to fine tune like what else I'm going to put in them because I don't want it to be just a bunch of boring stuff, right? So I still need to kind of fine tune the text portion a bit, and I'm going to just test it out, see what happens, you know. This newsletter is going to be just comic focused. Maybe it'll just be updates on my main comic I'm doing. You can actually see this here. I have new trackers for the 2 comics, the Pumpkin Prince and Baron Snake. You can see Baron Snake doesn't have as many pages. I just need to do did I do thumbnails and layouts? I already have those done. That should actually be line art. I don't know why I did that. But yeah, the Pumpkin Prince, you can see I have a lot to do for Q2. And looking at it, I always think, oh my gosh, I have to do that all in a month. And I don't. Again, this is in line with the branding. So, but what I can do is I can take these and I can look at my newsletter that I'm sending out, and I can show the progress of these stories and generate the excitement from it. things like that. So I'm hoping that this sticks. I feel more confident about it, and this is way more in line with my branding and finding ways to keep the fun entertainment and everything that my business is going to be doing has been challenging but rewarding when I find a solution, like with the monthly newsletter to your people's emails. And I think that will also allow me to say, hey, I mean it when I want to provide fun and entertainment and stories and things like that, because I'm doing that every month. You know, it may not be a finished piece of artwork, but it's still providing a story. It's still providing characters and fun, and sometimes it'll just be like just a relaxing comic, just like a that was nice, you know, just a chill comic strip. So I am excited to see what I can do with that and play with it. And it'll definitely give me more experience in storytelling by having it be a start to end in one strip, right? It's not multiple pages. But I might try and generate a couple serials with that. So kind of like how manga does it, or like was it, I'm gonna say their newspapers or something, or Shonen Jump or something like that, where they have the pages, but you have to wait for the next one to see what happens. I might maybe do a 3 series part for that, but that's also, I'm not sure if that would be within the fun aspect because you have to wait a month for each page. I might play with that towards the end of the year. I don't know. And anyway, so back to the branding thing. Yeah, so I'm basically reevaluating everything with my brand and kind of making notes on what I can improve to make sure what I want it to represent is actually being represented. I want to make sure the visuals, the colors, the fonts, because before it was too spooky and my stuff wasn't horror-y, you know, it wasn't bones and skulls and stuff like that. I have that, but a lot of it was character focused. So I need to make sure that I'm getting the point across that it's a fun character driven brand. And that doesn't, to me, I know what that means, but like I have to most make sure that if I say that, is a customer going to understand that? So I need to find ways to communicate that to the customer without going into like a 20-paragraph explanation of what that means, right? So that's another challenge I'm kind of facing. And I need to also be okay with being a little more open with people. And this is something I struggle with a lot. Like I keep my personal life pretty separate from my business. Like I very rarely talk about my personal life a lot unless it's like, oh, I saw a caterpillar, you know, like little things like that. So I need to kind of bridge that gap and make that connection with viewers and customers and things like that. And I'm working on that because I do want to be supportive again of that growth mindset for others, not just me. So in order for me to do that, though, I have to be a little more present, right? So those are mostly brand values, but that's what I've just been thinking about with branding. It's not just the appearance, it's everything else. It's how present you are. When you are present, what does that mean? What does that look like? How do people see that? How do people react to it? How does it make them feel? Which I don't like using feel because, you know, but it's a real reaction, you know, when I think, oh my gosh, I love, okay, this will sound dorky, but maybe it's on point for me, I don't know, but like I love Tim Burton's old stuff, right? I love that. I love the way that movies make me feel. Like it's whimsical, but also kind of sad sometimes, but very thought-provoking, things like that. I like how that makes me feel at the end of the movie, right? And that's kind of how you should think about your brand. It's not just, oh, I love that thing you made. It's what else are you providing to that customer? And that's also going to keep them coming back if you provide a lasting impression like that. And I'll probably I know I will make another video about branding because I know I'm going to learn a lot in that book I just got, and I would like to share what I learned and my thoughts on it as well. But I think I am on a better track of taking my brand and refocusing it on what the brand is, not just selling things, but presenting a brand that people will remember, can react to, and have a actual connection to some degree. And that's my responsibility and my challenge for the year. And I think if you have a brand and you're not sure what to do with it yet, start thinking about that yourself too. It's not just the logo and the colors, but it's also how you show up, you know, and it doesn't have to be an overnight thing, you know. All right, so that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe for the next video.